Hey everyone, my name is Casey Lang. I am the General Manager of Compliance Services here at CyberSheath. Today I'm here to introduce our IT Managed Services that we recently launched, as well as Larry White, who's our Director for that program. Good morning, Larry.
Casey, I'm going to look forward to our talk.
All right, great. Sounds good. I appreciate you having coffee with me. So tell me about this service and why organizations need outsourced IT.
Well, that's a good question, and it's asked a lot. If you go and Google things out on the internet, obviously on Google, and you look for why, you're going to get mainly two questions back, right? One is expertise and technical know-how, right? So while a company may have their own IT service and it might be very well stocked, and it could have a lot of very good engineers in there, your expense of keeping that really solid engineer is also going to drive up because you're only supporting a handful of data centers or a single data center for that company. So when you look at a managed service provider, then you get to take that same expertise and spread it over several companies, making the expense that we give back to our customers a little lower. So one of the reasons is looking for costs, and the other is technical expertise, right? So we're seeing issues happen over multiple customers as we support, several of our groups out there. We see problems coming in at different levels will allow us then to respond and do a better root cause analysis. So to kind of sum that up, I think companies generally look for managed service providers, one, to eliminate some of the costs in our IT structure, and two, to keep the technical talent in place without spending a lot of money.
Makes sense. So about our service launch and this focus on defense contractors, what's important or special about an IT service provider that knows the defense industry, that specializes in that space?
Well, that's another good question. When you look at managed service providers, there's a lot of different talents. There's industries out there. There are managed service providers that specialize in healthcare because that requires a certain different understanding and their compliances and the lingo and the acronyms that are used in that organization. And you also have those that are in just regular civilian market education. But when you come to the Department of Defense, it's a whole new group. Within CyberSheath, we have many veterans. As a matter of fact, our founder and CEO is also a veteran. And so we understand a little bit about the lingo and the acronyms used in the government, as well as, and the most important thing is that CMMC compliance that allows you as a prime or subprime to go and do business with the government and Department of Defense. So it's uniquely put there where CyberSheath has the ability and the experience from DoD and the government to help our customers be able to attack those situations and those compliance needs and mitigations from that. Does that make sense, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to compliance and IT services, because I know we deliver both, what's the importance of the interface there? Why are organizations not compliant with other IT service providers, or a lot of times with their own IT service functions?
That's also why we're here. That's a very unique situation. So if you're not focused, and in CyberSheath, we're focused from the ground up, right? So our company was built on security, right? And so we're driving that forward. And so with the security comes the IT on top of that. What a lot of organizations have is, hey, we need to get these things done, or IT simply just doesn't understand what to do in the security compliance area, right? They're not trained like CyberSheath is trained, where we work and partner with our team together. So in CyberSheath, security and IT is really one group. It makes us unique as well because we use our service desk and our SOC as one organization. Our first tier organization people, while they're security analysts, are also first tier service desk people. So you're getting kind of a security mix the entire time that you're going in there. So the big difference and the excitement of this is that we're able to provide a compliance and then also mitigate that compliance for anything that you're not there, and allow your IT to stay up and running at 100% or 5 nines, as you would like to call it, while still being concentrated on the security side.
Great. Yeah, and I know for our compliance services and the tight integration, I know when we're looking at these other IT service providers, sometimes in-house IT functions, a lot of these controls, especially with CMMC, DFARS, NIST 800-171, they're very dependent on IT. Some controls are directly reliant on IT. Other controls are IT owns a piece of it, like vulnerability management. Security detects, IT usually responds. And in a lot of cases, when we're looking at the other IT service providers out there, they're just kind of doing what they expect to need to do to keep things operational, and not focusing through this compliance lens. So I think what we're providing for value is that IT through the lens of compliance and security, which I think really delivers something special for the defense community, because a lot of us have been there, done that with regards to growing up in the defense industry. So what makes CyberSheath's services special when it comes to our focus on the defense industry?
Well, yeah, and I kind of touched on that a few minutes ago, but the uniqueness of Cyber Chief is one, we got the veterans out there. We understand that we've been born in the cybersecurity world, helping and supporting our Department of Defense and government contractors, right? And then the uniqueness of how Cyber Chief is built, from the security was first, then we brought in IT managed services over top of that. So that means, like you mentioned, we always have a lens on the security side and compliance while keeping the IT operations going. And as I mentioned, our service desk is unique because we are combining two skill sets, SOC and service desk, into our first tier that allows us to hit security right away, understand those alerts faster than our competitors or even other managed IT service people. And then also because of the teamwork that we go in traditional managed IT service sets, security and IT don't generally get along. There's usually a pretty big wall between what the needs are behind the company. And many times security mitigations and compliance are considered expensive and not the need for the business. In the defense contractor world, you have to have these compliances, and Cyber Chief is uniquely positioned to understand both of those to help deliver that solution for you and keep you compliant.
Yeah, and I know our two functions are really they're distinct because they have to from a separation of duties standpoint, because a lot of times I'm in situations where I'm looking at how the customer is doing compliance, and if we're engaged as an IT service provider, I'm looking at how we're doing security as well with that kind of fresh set of eyes. So I know there's a lot of, you mentioned kind of the wall between IT and security. We're supportive of each other, but we understand that we need to look at each other with a critical eye. At least I need to look at the IT services with a critical eye to make sure that we're keeping you guys in a compliant state and doing the best we can for our customers for compliance. So
right.
That's great. So what organizations do you think benefit most from IT services in general and IT services really focused on that defense contractor niche, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, so IT services in general, I think you go back to, hey, what's my cost in IT? What's my technical talent? Where can I get that? What's the best way to deliver the need for, if I was a commercial business, what's the best way to deliver IT that allows us to be profitable and meet our business needs? When you flip that over to a defense contractor, now you've got a couple of different things. Number one, in order for a defense contractor or a sub-prime to do business, they have to be compliant. And that is already out there. It's already locked in. You have to be CMMC3 compliant. There's only a handful of companies that can help you get compliant. But then you add that, hey, not only can Cyber Chief get you there, then we can also put in IT services to help mitigate those compliances, keep your scores up, and allow you to stay always with the security at the top of mind, keeping your IT rolling. So now, difference from a defense contractor versus a commercial company. Commercial company, I've got my plan, I understand what my revenue needs, I can build any kind of IT. In our customers, it's not, we can't just put any kind of IT in. We have to think strategically what kind of IT is going to meet the security requirement, what kind of IT is still going to also keep us compliant, and can we still be profitable? So also part of our job, Casey, is to figure out how we can make our customers compliant, IT secure, with still keeping the bottom line in focus. So a couple of differences between defense contractors and commercial.
Yeah, and compliance really supports our customers' ability to do business at this point. I mean, we've been seeing it more and more frequently where a defense entity within the DoD or a prime is really putting a hard line in the sand saying you must be compliant. And if you have an IT service provider that's responsible for a set of these controls, they have to be compliant as well, especially when they have access to your environment and they have, staffed resources working in your environment. Beyond that, I think the organizations, when I look at this through the lens of the assessments that we do, that typically need something like this the most is they either have a very immature IT function internally or an unsophisticated arrangement with an IT service provider that's just it's basic, it's ad hoc, it's reactive, it's more focused on keeping the lights on from an IT standpoint than the compliance piece of it. And when I say that, I think of kind of those key basic things that you expect in a mature IT function. Asset management, knowing what your assets are, knowing what your software are, which is a dependency to a lot of other controls. Change management, having the records that show that you're considerate about your changes. You do security impact analysis to review those changes. Configuration management, secure configuration of your system's hardware, software. A lot of that is strongly dependent on IT, and if it hasn't been focused on through the compliance lens in the past, you end up with a lot of compliance deficiencies where I think our service, as you'd agree, Larry, really tries to own the compliance and the IT piece and do IT in a compliant way.
Yeah, it is unique change, and you know, change control is important for any company, not just to mention an IT services company, right? So we're providing that change control and asset management is critically important for everyone. You add on top of that the security piece that we add, Casey. Now it makes it even a little bit more important for what we're doing, right? So you can't just go to any IT managed service provider and say, hey, do you offer change control? Yes, we can check the box that you've gone through your CAB, but do you offer change control, which helps us stay compliant? There's differences that are needed in those things, and that's where we bring to the table a little bit different.
Yeah, and having gone through, and I mean, most of the company is kind of been born and raised in the defense contractor community from the founder on down. And, you know, with that change control, some more mature organizations have that, but they don't have a security engineer or someone thinking about security as part of that change process, which is a requirement. For us, on the other hand, we started as security people. We know what those issues are, and we're trying to solve them from an IT standpoint, because it's hard to get our customers that in the past, when we didn't have this service, to bring their IT to the next level when the only piece that we could really own is the security piece. So it's pretty exciting. So Larry, what is your part of this new IT service that we're delivering? What's your role? What do you do? How do you make it work?
Well, you know, another great question, Casey. And we live it every day, right? So I am the director of IT services at CyberChief. So that, in short, means that my responsibility is to ensure that CyberChief's infrastructure and all of our customers' infrastructure stay up, running at the required level, meet our SLAs, and also that we stay security compliant with working with your team. You know, like I mentioned before, security and IT are hand in hand here at CyberChief. We work together. There's definitely a partnership all the way down the line. But so on my side is, hey, this is making sure the IT goes, with also having that the good and bad personal security on my shoulders to make sure that we keep our customers compliant and ourselves. We drink our own Kool-Aid, so to speak, and then drive on, right? So, and look for other ways we can help improve our customers' infrastructure and possibly even save them some revenue or money going forward as we make some changes to keep you compliant.
Great. Yeah, and I know my part of it in interfacing with you, I know I alluded to kind of the separation of duties between the compliance services function and the IT services, but we interface quite a bit when it comes to interpretation of these requirements. I know we kind of meet our customers where they are in a lot of occasions, where our IT services has to kind of be built around what our customer currently has. Same thing for security, but there's a lot of, hey, is what we're planning here to resolve these deficiencies going to meet the standard of compliance as it relates to these practice requirements? So, I mean, the core components of the compliance piece that we drive off of is obviously the assessment that leads to identifying what the issues are of our customers, rolling that into system security plan, the security narrative. It's the about your environment, which includes a lot of about how IT works, and then the plan of action milestone, which is our deficiencies, our list of deficiencies for our customers to go and fix. That fixing process leads to ticketing on our end that gets assigned to either security engineers or IT engineers to go do that work. And I know you own the the go do piece for the IT. So again, exciting.
Yeah, and you can't emphasize the partnership between the two groups enough, right? I think that's where, if you look at other managed service providers, that might be where they fall short in providing the overall service, or even just if you're doing your own IT in-house for your own company, you know, having those two teams really work together and helping each other go through and look for those ways that we can make the changes. And you mentioned something else great that I think needs to be pointed out is, you know, people come to us because we're in that market, right? We sometimes will challenge or interpret what that code or compliance means, right? So that way we can help our customers do that. I think just the other day we saw the Army come out. One of our customers mentioned a new protocol for teams in the U.S. Army, and we were able to start looking at that and help that customer with a focus. Not having a managed service provider like CyberChief, you could spend a long time researching and trying to figure out who to go to. So I think that's another benefit that we had, and I'm very appreciative to your team helping keep us in the proper line.
Appreciate that. All right, well, Larry, I appreciate you having coffee with me today. I think we're just about out of time. I know we should have a blog post up that discusses the newly launched IT services, summarizes what we talked about here today. I think it's going to be linked with the video, but again, I appreciate everybody who jumps on and sits down for a coffee with us.